Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the Romulan Senatorial transport, which is going to be based off of the Terrasus class light starboard. I'm going to jump over here, not that you're going to see it, but I'm going to jump over here to Memory Beta because they do have a write-up of the Terrasus class light starboard, which were designed for extended deep space exploration, survey, and contact missions. First commissioned in the wake of the Praetorian Edict of 2348, these ships were the first of the new mid 2350s. Its success as a class was largely responsible for the increasing respect according to the exploration command of the late 24th century. Most Romulan vessel designs were uh, predictated on military needs and specifications prior to the development of the Terrasus class and its sister classes. The advent of the Starbird classes marked a new wave of specialized planning and design for the Star Navy, a movement that has continued to gather speed and support. The success of the expansionist edicts of the 2350s would pave the way for the exploration edicts of the 2360s and 70s, and the newer exploratory classes would continue to be on the forefront of success programs. Although the Terrasus class was designed as an exploratory vessel, its versatility has lent itself to several variant designs during the tense threat climate of the 2370s. These military variants were capable of making the long journey into the Alpha Quadrant during the conflict of the Dominion, with most serving with distinction alongside many of the larger Warbird and Warship classes. This comes from The Last Unicorn role-playing game Way of the Dara module, The Romulans. Now, looking at what we have here, um, I'm going to kind of scroll on down here so we get to see what this variant of this really is. The powerful Romulan senators travel, or when they travel, they desire three things: speed, secrecy, and comfort. The Romulan senatorial transport provides all three and more. Its powerful engines, state-of-the-art cloaking and communication systems, and luxurious accommodations make the ideal means of transport for high-ranking Romulan officials. Senatorial transports are built, maintained, and operated solely by senators and other persons with enough wealth and power to afford them. The owners usually go to great lengths to keep the existence and/or capabilities of their transports secret from the Star Navy and the Tal Shiar. The Tal Shiar uses a similar vessel for many of its own missions. Physically, the senatorial transport resembles a smaller version of the Terrasus class light starboard with a few modifications. First, the connecting inner hull is thicker and the command hull smaller, reducing the possibility of the command hull being severed from the ship by a lucky enemy shot. Second, the wing pylons are more rounded with a more pronounced downward curve, somewhat like the uh, Dideric's. I'm just not able to speak very well today. Okay, so that gets into the differences here. So what we have is the Terrasus class light starboard, but as we look at this, it would be a slightly modified version of this, um, but we don't have any other Terrasus class starship listed, so I feel comfortable just leaving this here this way. That way we can kind of get a little different distinction between ships here. Okay, so looking at this, we do have a capital class starship. Um, we have a length of 105.77 meters. Now, the width on this was actually, I think, kind of on the wrong side because they had it at 28.54 meters. But these ships are a lot wider. Romulans have wider ships. So I did flip that around. I made it an 82.54 meters. I think that they did a slight error when they were putting that in here on D6 Holocron. So if you look at it on D6 Holocron, you'll notice that slight change, and I do want to point that out. Now, this has a height of 23.24 meters. We have a ship mass of 83,500 metric tons. It's a size 4 class starship. This is going to go off of your capital ship piloting. If you're using this in the D6 system, we have a crew of 53. So this is a very small crewed ship. Really, when we look at these, though, I mean, there's not a ton of room in here for, I mean, outside of what's in your command section, there's not a lot of extra room there for throwing a lot of crew or anything. So, and it is a smaller ship, especially when we compare it to the larger Warbird. Okay, so we have an autopilot of 4D. So this thing has a pretty good autopilot rating. So we're going to be able to, if you need it to, it could pilot itself at a pretty decent skill set. We do have enough room for 150 passengers. There again, your crew are going to be hired senatorial personnel or whatever. Whoever he or she has, and then your senator and the entourage and all that are going to be all your passengers. Cargo capacity, we have enough room for 5,000 metric tons and enough consumables for 1 year. We do have a warp drive. Standard cruise is going to be a warp 5. A maximum cruise is warp 9. A maximum rating for 9.6 for 24 hours. Of course, we're going to have our nav computer. Our maneuverability is a 2D plus 2, so it's a little above average, which isn't too bad. Our atmospheric speed, or our space speed, is 9. Atmospheric speed is 1,150 kilometers an hour. We do have a hull strength of 2D plus 2, so just a little bit above our standard. And shields is 2D plus 1, so again, a little bit above our standard. Our sensor packet here. We can passively scan at 3.5 kilometers with a 1D plus 1 bonus. We can do an active scan out to 10 kilometers at a 1D plus 2 bonus. We have a active search out to 14 kilometers at a 2D plus 1 bonus, and a focus scan out to 500 meters with a plus 3 bonus. We do have a cloaking device on board, and when cloaked, we incur a plus 3D plus 2 difficulty to try and detect the ship. For armament, we have 6 type Cherith disruptor arrays. These are 360 degrees forward, 2 360 degree dorsal, and 2 360 degree ventral, as well as a 360 degree aft. So I think we're pretty well covered pretty much everywhere. I think if you really look at it in game terms, you should be able to shoot pretty much 3 shots in almost any direction. Unless you're being completely blindsided or off to one side or the other. But typically, and when we look at these, you're kind of being chased or you're chasing someone, so you would have a possibility of 3 shots on either side, because if you're a little above or a little below, then you're either ventral or dorsal disruptors should be able to attack as well. Okay, we do have a crew of 1. This is listed as Starfighter scale. So fire control is 0D plus 2, fire rate of 3, and damage is 8D. Now it has 2 photon torpedo launchers. Again, these are at Starfighter scale. Damage is 10D. We do have a fire control of plus 2 and a spread of 4, so we can shoot 4 out per round. But we only have 12 Type 2 photon torpedoes on board, so it's not going to last for very long. But if you're looking at this as more of a transport or so, for high-ranking officials, you're not looking at getting into a big space fight here. Um, we have 2 Class Gamma tractor beams with a fire control of 1D and a strength of 3D plus 2. Now, for miscellaneous, we have 50 basic quarters for the vast majority of the crew. We have 140 expanded quarters for most of our guests, 10 luxury quarters for um, probably the senator and some of the closer friends. And we do have 3 unusual quarters for any other crew members or anyone else that needs something. I'm going to guess your captain, first mate, and the like are probably going to be in a expanded quarter, and they're going to save all the other ones for uh, whatever the senator needs. So we have 80 escape pods with a capacity for 8 personnel in each pod. This is commissioned in roughly 2370, being the senatorial version, not the standard light starboard. We have 1 personnel transporter with a 4-person pad. We have 1 emergency transporter with a 16-person pad and 1 cargo transporter for 400 kilograms. We do have a complement of 4 shuttlecraft on board, as well as 10 probes, and there is supposed to be a captain's yacht. So, kind of going through all that, it is an interesting thing to say, okay, so here's a smaller ship to be able to throw out at anyone that you're, for your crew, or unless you're playing Romulans, you can maybe give them a smaller ship like this or so, something along that line. Not a huge ship, and at 105, really this kind of puts it close to the Oberth class size category. Now, the Oberth being a complete science ship, this would trounce that in a heartbeat, because the Oberth is not meant for any kind of combat really whatsoever. It's just a scientific craft. I wouldn't expect it to do any combat, but sometimes in the Federation we run into things that we don't expect. So this is the ship we have today. I hope that we gave it a good send off and a good shining light for what it is. If you agree or disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. It's always wonderful hearing from you. And with that, I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next video.